The head of the Evansville Parks and Recreation Department this week asked the Parks Board to seek proposals for the renovation and possible reopening of Mesker Amphitheater. Joining me now is Jon Webb of the Evansville Courier Press to discuss the story. John, as always, good to have you in.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Well, let's talk about this meeting on Wednesday when Parks Director Danielle Crook asked the board to seek proposals. She sounded maybe a little less than optimistic. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, she said there's no guarantee anything will happen. I think it was, I don't know if that's her direct quote, but that's basically the gist of what she said. That, and again, they put out a call for requests for proposals for a lease agreement.
Yeah.
Not to buy the place outright, just for a lease agreement.
Right. And so now the amphitheater, it's been documented for quite a while now, has been standing vacant for more than a decade. It's in pretty poor condition, right? You were out there not too long ago.
Yeah, I was out there last year. I think I've been out there, 3 or 4 times over the last few years. If you go in the spring or summer, you'll get tree-sized weeds growing out of the concrete pavilion there. In the winter, things are just kind of falling apart. There's graffiti all over, interesting graffiti all over the brick walls.
I'm sure, yes.
One of them says abolish anime, another says nuke Vincennes. Sorry, I didn't know we were at war with Vincennes. But, and then the flooring in the ticket office is in bad shape. The stage leaks. If you've ever been out there, the blue canopy that's on the stage,
right.
that
like
has
a metal canopy, right?
Yeah, that has the risers that you would ostensibly attach the speakers to and everything. Those risers are defective, the canopy's rusted, the stage leaks. I mean, it's things that happen over time. If anything sets vacant for that long, and it was kind of in poor shape when it closed already, and or not kind of in poor shape, it was in poor shape. And it's had problems since it opened in the 50s. So, but now they're just exacerbated because of how long it's set.
Yeah. So, noting all of that, what kind of renovations would be needed to make this a functional, modern amphitheater?
It depends who you ask.
Yeah.
I think it was 2012. Former Mayor Lloyd Winnicky, his administration conducted a study. They found, I think, if I remember right, there may have been multiple studies, but the last one I remember was between $9 and $13 million. The big things are there are not enough bathrooms for people out there, ADA compliance. The pavilion where you would sit in the actual seats, it is very, very steep.
Yeah, a steep slope, right?
Oh, yeah, very much so. I mean, we could race bikes down it if we wanted to.
Right.
And so that's far from ADA compliant. Of course, there are, for historic structures, there is wiggle room in modern ADA compliance. So, an enterprising person who leases it, they may find a way around some of that while still making people comfortable and safe while being in there. I don't know how letter to the law they have to go.
Right.
But it's all-encompassing, the things that need to be done out there.
Yes, and as you mentioned, those multi-million-dollar estimates, that's from more than a decade ago.
Yeah.
So you've got to expect that price is a balloon.
Everything else has gotten more expensive. I imagine that has too.
Yeah. Now, Mesker Amphitheater, for folks who don't know, it's right next to Mesker Park Zoo on Evansville's west side. And the proximity of the zoo is also an issue, right?
Yeah. I think his title is Executive Director of Mesker Park Zoo, Eric Beck. He walked, McKay Brown and I, our photographer at the Courier, he walked us through there last February, I think. And he mentioned that likely, especially with the new penguin exhibit, the new penguin exhibit butts right against Mesker. I mean, it's just mere feet away, that they would have to construct a sound wall to deflect the decibels going out there. You don't want to pour decibels into the ears of these baby animals that are right next door. So that would cost a good sum of money. Right. It's something that other venues have had to build. And, I'm sure, again, I'm not in the business of renovating these old venues. I'm sure there's a cost-effective way to do that too. But, that's another stepping stone for whoever would be brave enough to take on the lease.
Yeah, just another part of the renovations, that big wall. Back in the day, I think your story may have referenced the fact that perhaps that wasn't such a concern back in the 60s and 70s when loud bands played there.
Oh,
Concern about the animals wasn't what it is today.
Yeah. Beck said, they know a lot more about taking care of animals back then. It's not that, back then animals loved rock and roll more than they do now.
Right.
It's that they've learned that there can be some detriment, especially to more sensitive creatures when you're pumping in, guitar riffs into their ears.
Yes, indeed. This is the Friday Wrap on WNIN FM. I'm John Gibson. Our guest is Jon Webb of the Evansville Courier and Press. You can read this story and all his stories at courierpress.com. Now, John, while Director Crook may have sounded a bit pessimistic about finding a developer for the job, as I understand it, you've talked to at least one entity that is interested in renovating the amphitheater, correct?
Yeah. It's Tim Drake. He runs The Mill, which is up in Terre Haute. It's an outdoor amphitheater and event center, and they have really made a nice little space up there. They bring in the kind of acts that we sometimes get down here, older rock acts, country acts, that kind of thing. I think later this month they're going to have ZZ Top. I think Alabama's going to be up there. Some bands that have played Mesker back in the 80s or 90s that are still touring. He is very enthusiastic about the idea of putting in a proposal. He told me 100% they were going to do it, and I think he's excited about the possibility of what he sees out there. Yeah.
Well, do we know if Mr. Drake has the financial backing for what we estimate would be a pretty big project?
I don't know. I think he's done it before over in Terre Haute. I imagine he has some idea of the scope of what he's looking at, and people who are interested and who do put in these proposals hopefully would have some idea of the scope of the project. And from everything I know about him that I've talked to him, he has a good idea of what's going on there. I don't know if he's toured, how often he's been out there, but he says that they're going to put something together and contact the city. So.
You mentioned his facility in Terre Haute. Do we know what that's looking like, or how much he maybe had to invest in that project?
I don't remember how much they had to invest. I know there was a similar situation to Mesker in Louisville, where they invested and they rebuilt this old place, and it's a little smaller than Mesker, but that took a couple $1 million. I mean, whatever they do out there to make this place modern enough. I mean, it's not just a matter of, when I used to tour, like a few years ago, they opened it for the public to tour and to go around in and look at. And the things you overheard people were saying were like, if you just put a coat of paint on that right there, if you just cover up that
little this, little that.
Yeah, put some lawn chairs out here. You could put on a show. But, the demands for a touring act now are much greater than they were in 1952 when the place opened. Sure. I mean, just the infrastructure they have in there. We talked about the canopy on the stage and the scaffolding for speaker systems. It's just not up to date for what a modern act would be, and it's a matter of like getting trucks in there to unload equipment. It's a matter of everything.
Sure. Well, yeah, and obviously this would be a multi-million-dollar project to get it up to those standards. Now, Mayor Terry did promise, I believe back in her State of the City address, that she would look into this. She would see if there's any interest out there to renovate Mesker. Is there any indication that this may just be sort of due diligence without much hope of a reopening?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to put words in her mouth or anything. I think if they found the right person, I know it's hard. It's difficult to talk about Mesker without sounding pessimistic. Right. The other side of that is pie in the sky. So you want to try to find somewhere in the middle.
Right.
Because, for people who have been out there, I saw Bob Dylan there in 2008. I've been out there. There are people in town who have been to multiple shows out there. Sure. It's a big part of people's childhood. I mean, the nostalgia factor is not enough reason to keep it open, of course, but
it's a big factor in a lot of people's minds.
Sure, obviously. Right. So, but it's not something you don't want to throw it away if you don't have to. And there are enterprising people in this business that can come out there and do something with it. I mean, if you think about the sheer number of people who have been out there, this is a historic place.
Sure.
Any place in town where Johnny Cash has hung out is, you want to do your due diligence before you just tear it down. And
sure.
I don't think tearing it down would be that popular of a move. It might be the right move somewhere down the road if this doesn't work out, but I don't think anybody wants to see that kind of history just crumpled up.
Yeah, sure. I saw a message on social media the other day basically expressing the idea that, no mayor wants to be the one who finally tears down Mesker Amphitheater, that, regardless that, everybody's going to at least give it a shot,
Sure, yeah. And, it's got a lot of things going against it right now. Mm-hmm. People complain about not being able to find parking at the Ford Center, and there are multiple parking garages downtown and free parking lots and street parking. And out there's not anywhere near that,
Mm-hmm.
And if you park in the neighborhood, you're parking on hills, you're parking on busy streets. There have been, back several years ago, there was a really bad accident out there when people were leaving. So, anytime you talk about it and think, well, they could do this, another problem pops up in your head.
Yeah.
But, then again, we may be sitting here and sounding pessimistic, and then, 10 years from now, if you look back on this interview, we'll sound like fools. It might be a thriving thing. Who knows? Right.
Well, time will tell. Anything else to add, John, that we haven't touched on here?
This is an issue that I've been covering off and on for going on 10 years.
Right.
And this is the most direct ask to reopen it since it closed in 2012.
Yeah.
This is the most, this is the most optimism I've seen behind it, even with all the pessimism. So, we'll see what happens.
Yes.
I'll be interested, and if it opens, I'd love to go back.
Yes, indeed. As an Evansville native, I saw several shows there as well, and
What was the best one?
Well, let's see. I saw Neil Young there once.
That's pretty good.
That was pretty darn good.
Yeah,
yes,
that's
indeed.
pretty good.
In the later years, I saw the Wallflowers.
The Wallflowers were there.
Bob Dylan's son. Lots of great shows over the years. So we will see what happens. That is Jon Webb of the Evansville Courier and Press. You can read his stories really about the Mesker Amphitheater at courierpress.com. As always, John, thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me. And if you can, donate to your local NPR station.
Thank you, Jon Webb.